Great friends, what's happening? It is Monday. This is Kaplan and crew. We're in the 7 Mile Casino studios, 7milecasino.com. Got Grande, got the Brown Man, and let's freaking go. What a weekend, man. On Saturday, I spent an entire day at a friend's house. My girlfriend said, we're going to a party at a friend's house. We went to their house. I camped myself down on the couch, and I took over their TV. I was able to watch Colorado get ham slammed by Nebraska. I was able to watch Boise State come so close to beating Oregon. I was watching Oregon State just destroy San Diego State. And whatever other game, USC was pounding on Utah State. They were 28.5-point favorites, and they won by 41 points, and they shut them out. So I watched so much college football. Earlier in the day, I was at home. I was watching my Pitt Panthers make a dramatic comeback against Cincinnati. I watched Texas go to Michigan and pound on the Wolverines at the Big House. I was all college football on Saturday. And then on Sunday, I don't know about the rest of you guys, but I waited until Sunday to try and figure out how to use YouTube TV. Oh, by the way, I kept screwing it up between Apple TV and YouTube TV. YouTube TV, I get it, I'm late to the party, is the greatest thing of all time. To split your screen into 4 boxes and watch 4 games at once and then just remote control. I want the audio of this game. I'll move over. I want the audio of that game. Hey, I want to hear Jim Nantz and Tony Romo call the Chargers and the Raiders. But you know what? I want to hear Tom Brady, and I want to hear what he's all about for the Browns and the Cowboys. So what a weekend of football. Took in I can't even tell you how much time, how many hours and hours and hours I spent this weekend on a couch watching football. Great friends. So glad you're here. We're going to get to all of it. Grande, Brown Man, how are you, fellas? And I'll throw it out to you guys like this. What is your lead story today as we just hit the airwaves of YouTube? And I say airwaves, I should say stream. All of our audio podcasters, SportsGrid Radio on channel 159 Sirius XM. I'm watching us right now on SportsGrid. We're hot pieces of ass. You understand that? I'm asking you guys, what's your lead story from the weekend today as we hit the air on Monday?
For this show or for the NFL?
For this show.
Oh, for this show. I mean, the Raiders are a terrible football team. I was telling you guys that before. They are not good. Gardner Minshew's their quarterback. What are you expecting? The guy threw a backwards pass that was a fumble that got returned for like 30 yards, almost a touchdown. That is not surprising. The same way that reality will hit me in the face next week when the Vikings face the 49ers. The Giants are not a good football team. The Panthers are not a good football team. Like, are people in New Orleans today all of a sudden thinking the Saints are Super Bowl contenders because they crushed the Panthers? No. Are people in Minnesota today saying that the Vikings are going to make this crazy playoff run because they beat the Giants? No. So should Charger fans be throwing a parade because they beat the Raiders? No.
But they are.
I know they are, especially in our mentions.
Hey, dude, have you seen today, Bill Plaschke of the LA Times wrote a column today that it's all different, that the Chargers could have chargered, but instead they harbawed. That's what he said. They didn't charger, they harbawed. And everything is different. And the phrase that Harbaugh's using is the worm has turned. And you honestly would have thought that the Chargers won the freaking Super Bowl yesterday.
I'll say this before Browner agrees with that. Brandon Staley's the coach of that team. They lose that game yesterday.
100%. Oh, 100%. Jim Harbaugh, listen,
That's
here's
the difference.
Here's the thing about Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh standing there on one sideline, Antonio Pierce on the other sideline. Antonio Pierce is to coaching what Gardner Minshew is to quarterbacking. Yeah, he can get you fired up, and he can rally you for 5 or 6 wins, get you hyped, and actually maybe win a few games. But Antonio Pierce is already proving in one game he's in way over his head. Maybe things will change as the year goes on. But yesterday, he made such a glaring, obvious error that every high school coach, every Pop Warner coach would have known not to do what Antonio Pierce did. But Brown, I know you won't agree with that because that's representation.
Hi, everybody. If you see me sweating like I'm in a heat lamp, it's warm here. So if I sweat, just let it be. 2.
Dude, it's sweltering here in Southern California. For anybody who's outside of Southern California, here in San Diego County, I'm telling you right now, I've never felt what it was like this past weekend. It's one thing when it's 115 degrees out in the desert and we start to get wildfires. It's another thing when it's 90 degrees at the beach and it's just sweltering. And I know a lot of people on the East Coast are going, 90 degrees, it's not that big of a deal. I'm telling you.
Different kind of 90 here, bro.
It's sweltering hot.
As I was saying, Antonio Pierce got beat by a better coach.
Yeah.
Just like Deion Sanders got beat by a better coach. Like, there are coaches out there who are really good, like Andy Reid, like Jim Harbaugh. The Chargers were better than the Raiders. That's not a stretch. We, two of us on the show, knew that. Someone else let their feelings get in the way. And tank.
Why you talking about Alex?
This weekend.
Talking about Alex and his feelings?
Nah,
I mean, we all know on record, if you would pick the Chargers with your head and not the heart, you would have had such a better winning percentage last year.
No doubt. But I got to pick against them every week because that's
But did you on Friday when you obviously you make the pick, it is what it is. But did you go into this game on Sunday thinking, you know what? Raiders going to do this. Raiders going to go in there and beat the Chargers.
I definitely
It's a home field for the Raiders.
It was hey Stephen A. You see that home field, Stephen A?
Nobody show him. Like, did you think that? Like, there was no doubt in my mind the Raiders weren't going to win that game.
Well, here's the thing. I thought the Raiders could have won the game. I didn't expect them to win the game, but I thought they could win the game. The Raiders, here's the numbers. When you win the turnover battle, you win 80% of the games that you play in. That is, Marty Schottenheimer used to preach that every single day to every person who would listen. Win the turnover battle, you win the game 80% of the time. Chargers won the turnover battle. Gardner Minshew had a fumble where he threw the ball backwards, which was just embarrassing. There was another fumble with one of their running backs, gave up the ball. There was a missed field goal. And then there was a massive coaching error. And so all of those things, when you have a guy like Harbaugh, who has been successful everywhere he's been, who did just win a national championship a year ago, and who's a veteran head coach, you take advantage of things like that. And that's what Harbaugh did. Harbaugh is a significantly better coach than Antonio Pierce.
Look, man, if the Raiders had did all this against the Rams, you wouldn't be surprised. You'd be like, well, I didn't think they were going to be good this year anyway. So why are you surprised that they did this against the Chargers?
Why am I surprised that they turned the ball over? Why am I surprised that they made a glaring coaching error? Is that what you're asking me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm not surprised. But by the way, when I read today in the LA Times, when I read Bill Plaschke telling me that now Harbaugh's here, the Chargers didn't do what they would normally do, which is Charger all over themselves. Now they've Harbaugh'd. I thought to myself, bro, did they win the Super Bowl? It was one win against a bad Raiders football team and against a bad coach.
The Chargers are going to be 2-0. They're going to beat the Panthers next week in Carolina. Mm-hmm. And from what I saw in Pittsburgh, I don't care who the quarterback is. They'll probably beat Pittsburgh because they're not a good team. It'll be another weird look. But the thing is, like, the Chargers are a work in progress. Like, there's nowhere near a Super Bowl team. Nowhere near it. They have no weapons on the outside. And their defense showed up yesterday because the Raiders are one of the worst offenses in the NFL.
All I'll say is this. I'll be quick.
Let's overreact. It's week one. Let's do it.
Overreaction?
Statements.
Here, you want an overreaction? The Raiders should immediately fire Antonio Pierce. How's that for
that's not an overreaction. They should have never hired him in the first place.
Y'all know how I disagree with that. Y'all know how I feel about what the Chargers are going to do this year. But get used to this. They were efficient in the run game. Told y'all them running backs didn't matter. Told y'all they didn't matter. And they're going to figure out the pass game down the road. That's it. That's all.
All right. Well, we're officially underway. We are officially underway.
On a shirt. That's it. That's all. Brown.
All right. Listen, let's just get rolling here. This is Kaplan and crew. We're in the 7 Mile Casino Studios. Got Grande, got the Brown Man, and we are officially underway.
What a chance it is for Adam Paxton and Victor Tingsham to pick up their first weekly titles. Adam Paxton, well, it's been the dream debut so far for him. For Victor Tingsham, he'll feel like this is a moment a little while coming. A place in the final up for grabs for one.
If you can do it, make that double 18 away for a place in the final.
Wesley Plaisir was beaten, knocked out by Mike Warburton in a last leg decider.
That is what they are playing for. They are playing for the trophy. They are playing for the big prize pot, and they are playing for a place in the £25,000 Champions Week.
97.
There is a point you feel that reality will surely kick in for Adam Paxton. He's here on debut. He watches the Super Series almost every single week. He was happy just to be playing in a group. This could be the leg that we talk about at the end of the night as being the one that changed the final, because Adam Paxton has just gone cold at the moment.
Bang on cue.
He doesn't just get two, he gets the lot.
Adam should take out the 16 out. If not, Mike's just behind him.
Shot on the fifth leg.
Can Paxton deliver one of the biggest moments of his career so far? He can. Double 12. What a moment that is from Adam Paxton. Mike Warburton was looking at 60 to win the match. Paxton, here's your moment. He approaches the hockey with confidence, with time, and delivers. Adam Paxton on debut. The boy, the fanboy, comes to the Super Series and wins.
Today on Kaplan and Crew with the Chargers and the Raiders. We'll get deeper into that game in just a matter of moments. But as we're warming up here, as we're getting going, I want to remind everybody who's watching and listening, no matter what platform you're on, if you come to our YouTube channel, we have a live YouTube chat going right now. It's a combination of people who come from Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube. What you're going to notice is this. There are a lot of people who come to this show that are Charger lovers because they grew up in San Diego, and we were such a part of trying to keep the Chargers here for so long, and now they left. And for many of us, that was it. We washed our hands. Example, a buddy of mine today, the great Jason Finley from Callaway Golf, texted me this morning. He said, hey, today is Spirit Day at Callaway, so everybody's supposed to be wearing your favorite team's uniform, jersey, whatever. Jason today is wearing his Charger Hater Club t-shirt up at Callaway Golf. So if you're watching the YouTube chat, some people in here are like, go Bolts, bolt up, Harbaugh's the man. And then other people are in this chat going, can't wait to watch them just collapse and fall all over the place and break everybody's heart. So we got a lot of balance going on here as it applies to the Chargers. Let me ask you guys this question. We'll come back to the Chargers and the Raiders. We'll get to the Rams and the Lions. But I want to ask you guys this. Because, Alex, I asked you, what's the big story coming out of the weekend? You said for this show.
Yeah.
So take the show out of the equation for a minute. Here's what I want to say. For me, outside of Chargers, Raiders, or Rams, Lions, the biggest story for me this weekend, my New England Patriots going on the road at the Cincinnati Bengals and keeping Joe Burrow to 10 points, and my New England Patriots, for all the talk about how bad they were going to be, how limited their roster is, new head coach, biggest underdog on the board, my New England Patriots ran the ball down the throats of the Cincinnati Bengals and won that game on the road. My college roommate, Alex Van Pelt, is their offensive coordinator. I called Ian Eagle this week from the CBS broadcast, and I go, Ian, you got the Cincinnati-New England game. You got to hype up my boy Van Pelt. He said, Van Pelt will be prominently featured in this broadcast, and he was. So for me, New England is the biggest shocker of the weekend because no one gave New England a chance. In fact, if you play a survivor pool, everybody had Cincinnati to win that game. How about for you, Alex?
Me personally, the Vikings got the better USC quarterback in the division.
Ooh.
Sam Darnold, the best USC quarterback in the NFL. Because what I saw in Chicago or wherever the hell that game was, in Tennessee or Chicago, oof. Damn, I had it. Listen, I'm overreacting today. I'm going to enjoy the hell out of this week because I know what's coming the rest of the year. But I'll tell you what, when I watched Caleb do what he did, and I saw Sam look smooth as hell against the Giants, and I mean, the dude started 12 of 12. Oh, I was in straight like a euphoric trance. I felt like I took Molly or something. I was like, this is great.
Wait, you said you felt like you took Molly because Sam Darnold had gone 12 for 12?
No, because of the whole game.
Oh,
like the defense was incredible. The offense was smooth.
You felt
it was
like
awesome.
Molly.
Yeah, I was like, this is what it must feel like. This is incredible. It was great, and it was coupled. The cherry was, I was 8 boxing. I had like 4 TVs in front of me. Every time I look over, just Caleb just looked like he never been quarterback a day in his life. It was incredible.
Well, when you think about these young guys who you thought maybe would have big games this weekend, Caleb Williams did not. Jaden Daniels can run all over the place, but Washington got beat. I thought Marvin Harrison Jr. for Arizona, because I played him on Prize Picks, would have more than like 67.5 yards receiving. He had like 4 yards receiving on 1 catch. So yeah, the rookies did not perform. Even Bo Nix. Oh, Bo Nix is so great. Bo Nix is so amazing. Bo Nix is 24 years old. Well, people coming out of the preseason were like, Bo Nix looks great. All right, take us through what we're looking at here. The rookie quarterbacks week 1.
Yeah, Caleb, 14 of 29, 93 yards. That's not a typo. No touchdowns, no interceptions. Jaden Daniels, 17 of 24, 184 yards. Did rush for 88 and 2 rushing touchdowns. Bo Nix, 26 of 42, 138 yards, 35 rushing yards, and a touchdown.
A touchdown or 2 interceptions, at least based on. You said a touchdown, but it said on the graphic 0 for 2.
2 interceptions, but he also rushed for touchdowns. Whatever.
Okay, very good. There you go. Thank you. Brown, what'd you make of the Bears and Caleb? And, it was 17-0 Tennessee. And I'm like, oh, my God, this is going to be really bad. Really bad. And then all of a sudden, Tennessee started falling apart. And that one play, as a matter of fact, Alex, in our group.
Don't say Tennessee. Don't say Tennessee. Don't do that. Don't do that to Tennessee.
You were going to say Will Levis?
Yeah. Will Levis started falling apart. That man was on his knees with his hands on his head. Like, he can't believe how terrible he was yesterday.
Well, it was funny in our group chat yesterday. You were like, I love Levis, Levis. And I was like, I saw your text and I went, Alex loves Levi's? Like he likes Levi jeans? What? It took me a second to catch up to Levi's being Levis. Brown, what'd you make of the opening day performance for Caleb Williams? Your team, the Bears.
Because I want to be clear about this. I don't want this to be misunderstood by anybody else. All right. Shout out to Justin Fields getting that win for my Pittsburgh Steelers. That was the worst starting game I've ever seen for a Chicago Bear rookie at quarterback. I'm 43, man. Ain't no excuse whatsoever. No rookie has ever had the offense stacked for him like this young man, and you come out and you throw for 98 yards? Bruh, I'm disgusted. That was utterly pathetic. And anybody, because I watch a lot of Chicago coverage, and I'm not going to get into personal names or personal attacks on people, but they went after Justin Fields for the same things I just watched Caleb Williams do. Hold on to the ball too long, miss wide open receivers, the offensive line not block, and when you actually did make a pass, they dropped it. But all these things were Justin Fields' fault. The atrocious play calling by Matt Waldron. Just the offense was terrible. Utterly terrible.
Yep.
I was ready to fire Matt Eberflus at halftime. But then the defense showed up. And that's the only reason he's still working today. Because that defense said, all right, we'll take it from here. Thanks, Will Levis. You're terrible.
Yeah. Well, hey, listen, again, we're just getting rolling here. Shout out to my man, Gary Cooper, Mountain Trust Mortgage and Realty Services, 858-376-1299. His number is 858-376-1299. Never make a move in real estate without first talking to Gary Cooper. I see Gary is watching the show right now on Facebook, and he jumped right in as soon as we hit the airwaves and said, let's go. So let's go on to the next segment. Man, we're just getting rolling the first Monday after the start of the NFL season.
what has transpired here at the First Bank Center here in Denver, Colorado. It wasn't just a big night of fights. It was a big night of memorable moments.
Conor McGregor with us here in Denver, Colorado. Good left hand from Rockhold. Right hand right back from Mike Perry.
Can I get a face-off with Conor McGregor, man?
It's an incredible setup here, incredible matchmaking, incredible storytelling. Oh, you had to come here. All these fighters that step in here are warriors, and all have my respect. And I'm into this game, yeah. We'll be into this, yeah.
And we are live here in the Maverick Center here in Salt Lake City, Utah, folks. What a night. It is going to be historic indeed for BKFC 56.
Whoever's the king of violence right here, this is going to be a great fight.
Perry on the target. Right hand from Perry. Double jab. Who's the king of violence? I am!
Combat fighting in its purest form, bare knuckle fighting in the city of angels.
80 seconds remaining.
We've got the biggest announcement in the BKFC history we're about to make, so let's make that announcement.
What's up, Knucklemania? The notorious Conor McGregor here. Ladies and gentlemen, the huge announcement that I have for you today. Conor McGregor, myself, and McGregor Sports and Entertainment is now an owner of Bare Knuckle Fighting Championship. Welcome to the big leagues. David Feldman, baby, we did it.
He's now an owner of BKFC with us, and we're going to take this motherfucking thing all the way to the top now.
7milecasino.com. If you are in San Diego or if you are coming into San Diego, it's the best place to be, man. I'm telling you right now, blackjack, poker, other table games, amazing food at Sammy's Restaurant and Bar, easy freeway access, only 7 minutes south of downtown San Diego, and no smoking and open 24/7. It is the place to be. 7 Mile Casino, 7milecasino.com. You're a winner at 7 Mile Casino. And if you have any problems with gambling, you call 1-800-GAMBLER. Okay, so for me, I said my biggest story of the weekend was New England beating Cincinnati, but that's just me personally. Alex, you said, Minnesota because of Sam Darnold, and that's your team. Browner, you were disgusted by Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears. That's your team. But in terms of like the really big stories coming out of the weekend, it kind of blows my mind, and I'm not surprised in the slightest bit, how much immediate criticism there was for Tom Brady yesterday.
Pathetic. Another pathetic performance. Pathetic. No thanks, bruh. No. People won't criticize Tom Brady, which is embarrassing for a bunch of grown men on TV to just say he sucked.
I got zero exposure to Tom Brady. I didn't waste my time watching Cowboys.
I listened to
Commanders.
Cowboys and Browns, which, by the way, I'll say this about the Browns. One thing Brady did say during the Browns broadcast, and just, oh, by the way, like, I don't know what people expected. Like, what did people really expect from Tom Brady? Tony Romo kind of got into the broadcast booth, and people were, like, blown away by Tony Romo because he was calling plays early in his career. I don't know what people expect. When I think about Troy Aikman, who will watch tonight on Monday Night Football, Troy Aikman has literally broadcast hundreds and hundreds of football games. At this point, Tony Romo has broadcast hundreds of football games. I just don't know what people expected. Did you think that he was going to come into the booth and do something so unique and so different? It was game one. And as our friend Jason Lawhead, the comedian, said, who is a huge Cleveland Browns fan, hey, it's hard for Tom Brady to show up and call a football game when only one team shows up, because Dallas showed up yesterday and Cleveland should be embarrassed. Seriously. And one thing Brady did say during that broadcast that I loved, he goes, well, they're still just the Browns. And I don't remember exactly how he phrased it, but he had a swipe at the Browns as if to say, they're the Cleveland Browns. This is what they do. I mean, Deshaun Watson is horrendous. I don't know, like, why that owner got himself involved and gave that kid a guaranteed $250 million. But it was so on display yesterday that Dak Prescott had gotten that new $200 million, $240 million contract, $60 million a year for Dak Prescott. And you have Dak over here and you have Deshaun Watson over here, And Deshaun Watson is horrendous. And oh, by the way, the Browns organizationally, that's what they do. You fire an offensive coordinator who had to use 10 different offensive line combinations, who had to use 5 different starting quarterbacks, and who revived Joe Flacco's career last year to make it to the postseason. You fire that offensive staff to bring in Ken Dorsey, who was fired by the Buffalo Bills in the middle of the year last year. And the Browns, they wanted a coordinator who could have an offense built for Deshaun Watson. There's no offense built for Deshaun Watson. He was really good as a young player. He ain't no good no more. I don't know if anybody watched the game. I was watching that game.
No.
Kevin Stefanski, the unemployment line is paging you, sir. You're next. You're next. I don't. Deshaun Watson's been in that offense for 3 years now. Because Kevin Stefanski.
No. He's been in that organization for 3 years. He's been in this offense for like an off season.
Yeah.
So he's been under the tutelage of Kevin Stefanski now for 3 years. However, we want to.
Isn't Kevin Stefanski 2-time coach of the year?
I don't know if he's 2-time. I know he was coach of the year last year. I don't know if he's 2-time.
That ain't gonna cut it. That ain't gonna cut it, man.
A 2-time coach of the year.
Bad.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
When was he coach of the year the first time? I mean, I really don't know.
2023.
How about that? I didn't know that.
Didn't he get Baker Mayfield to the playoffs? Or didn't Baker Mayfield and him go to the playoffs?
By the way, Baker Mayfield right now, if you said to me right now, who would you rather have? Baker Mayfield or Deshaun Watson? Is there a debate?
Coach?
Well, what do you mean who's my coach?
Who's my coach? I don't like Kevin Stefanski as a head coach.
So you think that if Deshaun Watson were playing for somebody other than Kevin Stefanski, he'd be better?
If Deshaun Watson was playing quarterback for the Rams, he'd be better.
Okay, I'll go with that.
How much better? Because I'm not seeing really much from Deshaun Watson.
Now that's a great question.
In any offense, this is his third coordinator in Cleveland, or is this his second?
So I think it's his second. I think
so. Yeah, not great.
I mean, I was just loving it yesterday to watch the Cleveland Browns get spanked on their home field on national TV when most people were tuning in to hear Tom Brady, to not even watch that game. They just were there to hear Tom Brady, and to see them get spanked the way they were, to know what kind of crap organization the Cleveland Browns are. I freaking love it.
Now we can go back and do what we always do.
Yeah.
Ignore the Browns.
Yeah. All right, well, let's do this. Stick around, everybody. Let's start digging deeper. The Chargers found a way to win, and the Raiders gave them the game. We'll get to that story next.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
Would it make you feel better as a sports fan if they said after the game we were trying to cover the spread?
Oh God, to say it out loud? Oh my God, no.
So what?
To say it out loud? Oh my God, you can't say that out loud. No, you can't do that.
Okay, so what is the big deal? Either way.
Oh, play the game the right way.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
I feel like the first person to take a kicker in fantasy football is somebody that feels like, man, I had a really bad draft. Let me make sure I get the best kicker. The way I've always looked at it that way. Like, oh, I did so bad, so let me take Justin Tucker.
The key for me is, though, I make marks. Okay, this guy, I'll highlight him because I don't want 3 or 4 of these guys. I draft 3 or 4 of these guys and they all get hurt. I have no one to blame but me.
Fantasy sports today, only on SportsGrid.
When you're really, really amazing like this, people kind of take it for granted. Same with Ohtani, right? People will sort of see, oh, Ohtani did this, Ohtani did that, and it sort of, becomes normalized a little bit. But to put in context, Aaron Judge joins the 1,000 hit club, reaches, gets it done. So earlier this month, he was the fastest player to reach 300 home runs ever.
Sports Rage Late Night, only on SportsGrid.
Let's go. Welcome to the Live Golf Team Championship.
The golf has been mesmerizing. They are the Live Golf Team Champions.
Team golf is back.
Oh, yes!
Are you ready?
Let's go!
That's what champions do.
Casino.com. All right. You guys want to dig into this Charger Raider game? First of all, let me say this to all of my Raider brothers out there. Way to go, guys. What are you saying?
And sisters.
And sisters, brothers and sisters.
They fight too.
Way to go. Yeah, they do fight too. The girls fight too. Way to go to all my Raider fans out there. You did exactly what we hoped you'd do and expected you to do. And it was so glaring and so obvious that even Jim Nantz had no choice but to make mention of it on the CBS telecast. The place was filled with Raider fans. Not saying there weren't people in powder blue, because as you know, Mario Lopez was there and he was wearing all of his. Oh, yeah. Wearing all of his Charger gear. So, the night before he's got on his Dodger gear. The next day he's got on his Charger gear. So, look, were there Charger fans in the house? Sure there were. But take a look at this video that we're showing you right now. And for those of you that are watching on SportsGrid, you can see it. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see it. For those of you listening on radio, that place was blacked out, man. Raider fans took the place over. And then, by the way, they went outside after the game and they all beat the ever-living hell out of each other. But, oh, by the way, it's not just a Raider Charger thing. This past weekend, the Padres were playing the Giants down at Petco Park. There was a brawl. I mean, a massive, massive brawl out in Gallagher Square where there were a bunch of Giant fans and Padre fans, and they were beating the ever-living crap out of one another. What is wrong with you people? Like, why do you go to games, get wasted, and then fight each other, and then get punched in the face, get all bloodied, and lay there passed out? What is wrong with you people? Anyway, that's another story for another day. Let's talk about how this game happened. So, look, Gardner Minshew, I've been rooting for Gardner Minshew. I hoped that Gardner Minshew could be a guy who rallies a team. But Gardner Minshew is a backup quarterback his entire career for a reason. Gardner Minshew is not some first-round draft choice. He was forced into action in Jacksonville. He sat around in Philadelphia. He played last year in Indianapolis and played decently. And then now he's got a shot to be the Raiders starting quarterback. Why? Because the Raiders don't have a quarterback.
Yeah.
Aiden O'Connell's a fourth-round draft choice who was forced into action as a rookie last year. The Raiders don't have a quarterback. By the way, listen, they also don't have a coach. I'm not here to beat up completely on Antonio Pierce today, but
Why not?
But
Why
just,
not? Sounds like it.
Well, because I would love to see him possibly be successful. But here's the problem for Antonio Pierce. In the AFC West, you've got Andy Reid, who's the best coach in the NFL. You've got Sean Payton, who has a Super Bowl to his credit and had his New Orleans Saints competitive for a championship practically every single year. And you've got Jim Harbaugh, who's been one of the most successful coaches in coaching at every level, no matter where he's been. That's what you've got. Antonio Pierce is your head coach and Gardner Minshew is your quarterback. I mean, the Broncos may not have a superstar yet, but they've got a first-round talent. The Chargers have Herbert, and we all know what Kansas City has at quarterback. So before you even start the season, the Raiders don't have the coach to keep up with the division, and they don't have the quarterback to keep up with the division. And there's one play in particular that will stand out from yesterday's game where Gardner Minshew threw a ball behind the line of scrimmage and behind where he was standing, therefore making it a fumble. And it's probably the one play that we'll all focus in on. I'll focus in on a second one. But it was the one play that everybody will look at and go, this is what you've got at quarterback. Alex, show everybody this play where Minshew throws the ball behind the line. Here it is. So Minshew, I mean, dude. and by the way, to his credit, he saved the touchdown. With a
no credit. No credit there. Stop that. Really? No credit for anything there. Sorry.
Now his own
and honestly, I know you're going to focus on that, but that's what Gardner Minshew is. He's literally the modern day gunslinger. He'll have games where he's just terrible, like he was yesterday. And then when he plays a lower opponent, he'll throw for a ton of yards and a touchdown. That's what Gardner Minshew is, and everybody knows that. If you've seen him in Jacksonville, if you've seen him in Indy, that's what he is. I need to focus, and I don't care if this is an overreaction or not. You need to focus on Antonio Pierce because what he did in that fourth quarter is the most gutless, white flag move that I saw all week.
Well, let me say
4th and 1 in the fourth quarter
with 7 minutes to go, down 6,
4th and 1 on the Chargers 43. And listen, I know I saw the first quarter. We all saw it. The 2nd and 1, and they got stuffed. 3rd and 1, they got stuffed. 4th and 1, they got stuffed. But at this point of the game, it's not the first quarter anymore. At this point of the game, knowing how much you're struggling, knowing how difficult it is for you to move the ball, you're on the Chargers 43 and you punt the ball.
Gutless.
Yeah.
No, terrible move.
That's a fireable offense. If it's week 10, 11, 12, we're having that discussion. We're having
Browner, why do you think that punting the ball, again, let's just set it up. It's 16-10. There's 7 minutes to go in the game. The Raiders have the ball on the Chargers 43-yard line. It's 4th and 1. The Raiders have all 3 timeouts. So the question is, down by 6, do you punt, try and get the Chargers down, try and get them down inside the 20-yard line, inside the 10, or do you go for it because you're down by 6 points? Imagine this. You're at a blackjack table, and the dealer has a king showing, and you've got a 5 showing. You're in a losing hand. You have no choice but to hit. It's 16-10. A field goal doesn't work, and even if it was a field goal, it's 60 yards away, so forget about that. They'd already missed a field goal. So you're in a losing situation. So to think that you're going to punt the ball, stop them, and hold them, and get the ball back and do something offensively, that was your moment in the game to go for it. And if you lose the game, you lose the game, but you had no choice but to go for it in that moment. And Antonio Pierce was gutless, number 1, and inexperienced, number 2.
I guess it's what we're going to do on Monday. Okay. If I'm Antonio Pierce and I'm playing blackjack, I know what I got in my hand. I'm glad you used the blackjack analogy. I know what I'm looking at. I see what they have, and I know what I'm looking at. And I know what I've been doing up until this point. So for us, our best chance is to punt this thing, pin them, and use field position to then try to get our offense on the better page and try this thing again. I didn't have a single problem with what he did because I watched the game. They were struggling at the line of scrimmage. So at best, I'm gonna punt this thing. I'm gonna pin them so they have to do 3 runs and punt it back to us, and we try this again from our own 40 as opposed to our own 20 because I know we can't make it 80 yards. I know this.
But you say on your own 40, you got 60 yards to go. You're on their 43. You're 43 yards out. It's 4th and 1. You're down by 6 with 7 to go. I'm telling you right now.
Isn't the end game when you pin somebody? The end game is to get the ball back in midfield, right? That's the end game. They were already in midfield. They were already past midfield. They folded. If we're gonna use blackjack examples, he saw the 5. He saw the king. He was like, "Here, take my money." That's what he did. I know I have a trash quarterback. I know that we're not doing anything today. Let's just he punted the game away. And that's it. I don't care what you say, Brian. He gave that game away. He gave that game away. The one thing that the Raiders were not able to do yesterday was to stop the run. And when you pin somebody, guess what they're going to try and do? Run the ball. And what they do, they ran it up their ass and they scored a touchdown the next drive because that's coward's way of playing football, especially week 1 when you got nothing to lose. Nothing to lose in
I think it's hilarious that we're saying this when we literally just ran Brandon Staley totally out of the organization, out of the state, because he was going for it on 4th and 7, 4th and 9.
This was 4th and 1. This was 4th and 1 on the 43-yard line.
Point. You just ran a person out with a better quarterback for going for it on 4th down. On 4th and 1, in that position, if you pin them, you have a better chance.
You didn't have a better chance because
I accept the strategy. Y'all just didn't like it.
No, you're just defending Antonio Pierce for one reason, representation. It's the same reason you're killing Kevin Stefanski right now, telling him he's going to get fired right away. Yeah. Antonio Pierce, that was a cowardly, gutless move.
Okay, who's got a better quarterback?
Chargers.
No, I'm talking about between the Raiders and the Browns.
It's hard to say. I want to say the Browns, but that hasn't been proven, to be honest with you.
We out of time, but all the answers are the Browns. Kevin Stefanski's first fired.
All right. For a guy who was coach of the year last year. All right, stick around. I want to show this to you. I want to hear what Antonio Pierce had to say next.
anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Your gut says Miami is going to win, and you should take the over. Your gut also said your NFT selfies would only go up in value. They didn't. But your head is on SportsGrid and knows the QB is in concussion protocol. The backup has a 45 QBR against the zone coverage. The New York D has the most sacks in the league. So yeah, trust your head. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Let's go. Welcome to the Live Golf Team Championship. The golf has been mesmerizing. They are the Live Golf Team Champions.
Team golf is back.
Oh, yes! Are you ready?
Let's go!
That's what champions do.
Look, we're going to obviously not agree on this, and that's okay. That's fine. To me, Antonio Pierce, gutless. It's 4th and 1. You're down by 6. You're on the 43-yard line. You go for it.
I was watching that game with a Raider fan yesterday in the room, and he said something I found to be 100% accurate. He's like, Raider fans wanted Mark Davis to keep Rich Bisaccia. He didn't.
Right.
And now he's making up for it by keeping Antonio.
Well, here's what happened. He had Rich Bisaccia. They made it to the postseason. Mark Davis didn't want to keep Rich Bisaccia because he wasn't a named guy. So he went out and hired Josh McDaniels. That was a complete disaster. Antonio Pierce took over, and as an interim coach, he's more of a Raiders guy. He's a motivator. Raiders, smoking
he's a
cigars.
vibes guy.
Right. He's a what?
Vibes. I said this on Friday. He's all about vibes. He won because of vibes, not because he's a good coach.
Well,
and that's yesterday. If that's gonna be your mantra, if you're gonna be Raider way, the Raiders, if you're gonna come in with all this swag and all this, then don't be a little coward and go for it. That's it.
All right, let's hear what Antonio Pierce had to say. Let's take a listen to his post-game comments.
Yeah, field position, defensively, punter. We got what we wanted. We got him backed up. We got 3 timeouts there. Play good football, get the ball back, half court, as we call it, offense, midfield, hopefully. But they broke off a long run, and that was the end of it.
You know why they broke off a long run? Because as it was being documented throughout the game, the Chargers' offensive line, particularly their first-round draft choice, Joe Alt, the tackle out of Notre Dame, he was containing Max Crosby for a lot of that game. A lot of that game.
I wonder who told y'all that last week. Who told y'all that? Okay. Yeah. That's what I thought. Yeah. Football back, baby. With the guru back in the building. Told y'all. Chargers got the best offensive line in football. Told y'all. Block, run, tackle. Told y'all. W.
Yeah.
Anyway, I will tell you this one.
It's going to be the same thing because the Panthers just lost their best defensive player. They just lost an offensive lineman. They just got their ass kicked by the Saints. Next week is only be even worse.
The Panthers are worse than the Raiders.
That's my point. It's only going to be even worse with you.
Yeah.
I'm talking to you.
Yeah.
You're obnoxious. This is going to be even worse next week because you think they're going to do something crazy because they're playing the Panthers. They're playing the Raiders. They played. All right. How about this?
Thanks, scheduling.
Who do you? Antonio Pierce. Good coach or bad?
Right now?
No, just in general.
Not looking good.
Yeah, he's not a good coach. Are the Raiders a good team?
No.
Okay. So the Chargers did what they're supposed to do.
Absolutely.
Okay, cool.
What are you trying to make like I didn't pick them? I picked them last week.
No, I picked them too. I'm trying to make a point that Antonio Pierce is not a good coach. The Raiders made a bad decision bringing him back. I've been saying that all offseason. 2, the Raiders are a terrible rostered football team. They took a white flag in the summer by not trying to do anything, by signing Gardner Minshew. Not drafting a quarterback, not trading for a quarterback, not going to get a proven quarterback. So if you want to victory lap this victory, go for it. But I'm making a point that the Raiders are not a good team and the Chargers did what they're supposed to, which is why I picked the Chargers to cover the 3.5. Everyone saw it coming.
If I remember correctly, I'm gonna let that victory lap little speech you just gave. I'm gonna let that go. That go. It's not a victory lap. When I'm right, I'm right. I'm just telling y'all I'm right because I think I was perfect this week, and we're perfect. I think I'm 4 for 4 or 3 for 3. How many I picked? I won them all. So with that being said, I don't want to hear none of that. I told y'all the football guru. He back. Back.
Let's go.
My season.
Well, the football guru is back, but one of the biggest stories of the weekend, since we've kind of gone West Coast, now let's go East Coast. Dude, how about this story about Tyreek Hill? Oh. I mean, dude, I saw this Tyreek Hill thing, and Alex, I think you put in our group chat early in the day, Tyreek Hill just got Scotty Schefflered.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, you have a guy pulling up to a game, a young black dude in a, I don't know if it was a Lamborghini.
$200,000 car.
How much?
A Ferrari he was driving?
Yeah.
That's like a $200,000 car.
I mean, if you're the cops, listen, I don't really know what happened. I don't know that anybody's really reported exactly what happened, but for the cops outside of an NFL football stadium to take a player of that amount of notoriety and not just pull him out of his car, but cuff him hands down, face down on the ground. I mean, dude.
Can we talk about common sense for a second? Just think about it this way, okay? You're a police officer in front of Hard Rock Stadium. You are literally in front. You can see it. The logo was right behind the arrest. There is a very in-shape black man driving by himself in a multi-$100,000 car. Let's say you don't watch football, okay? Just common sense. Who do you think he is? How many people go to a football game by themselves in a multi-$100,000 car that are not probably playing in this game? Just think about it that way. Like, let's just give him the benefit of the doubt that he's not the dumbest police officer of all time, that he just doesn't watch football. Like, you can't put 2 and 2 together. You know what? Maybe this guy's something. And I'm not telling you that Tyreek didn't do anything wrong because we don't know. But to put him face down and arrest him and cuff him when there's all these other $100,000 vehicles driving by you, yelling at you like, bro, what are you doing? Like, just come on, man. Like,
everything you guys are saying is true. If this guy didn't know, if the arresting officer, quote unquote, the arresting officer didn't know who he was, there were 4 other officers on the scene. So you mean to tell me not one of them knew who he was outside of the stadium as Calais Campbell, this massive human, gets out of his vehicle? It's like, yo, what's going on? That's Tyreek Hill. So you mean the Miami Police Department, the Sheriff's Department, don't nobody know who Tyreek Hill is?
Well, wait a second. Think about it more like this. Take Tyreek Hill out of it for a quick second. Everybody's got a camera. And when you take a young black man in America today and you put him face down on the ground while everybody's driving by, people think of George Floyd. People think of what has happened in this country. And I mean, come on, man. Like, you had to put him face down on the ground, and I see people in our live YouTube chat going, okay, so wait, if it wasn't Tyreek Hill, it would be fine.
No, per Jeff Darlington, who, by the way, if he's around, be careful, athletes. You're gonna get arrested.
You about to get
arrested for the Scotty Scheffler thing too.
Tyreek Hill received 2 citations, one being careless driving, the other a seatbelt violation.
So now they're trying to cover it. Now they CYA. Okay, here's the problem.
Let's talk about it when we come back.
All right, hold on. We'll come right back and get back to it.
Buy or sell, Anthony Richardson will be a top 7 fantasy quarterback this season. We're keeping this realistic here. We know and nobody would think that he'll be in the top 3, probably not even the top 5. How about top 7, George? Buy or sell?
You know, if he stays healthy, top 5 is not out of question here at all. He's a running quarterback. We know how valuable they can be. My worry is going to be what I mentioned when we talked about the Indianapolis Colts. Boy, man, if Pittman were to go down, there's not a lot to throw. He'll be running for his life half the time there. I like Richardson a lot. Small sample size of what we saw of what he's going to be. I played the 5 games last year before the injury here. So over a longer season, we'll see if he gets to catch up to him, what he can do. He's going to have to prove he can throw the ball. So be down the field here. I'm going to buy this. All right, I want to buy on Anthony Richardson. I want him to be that guy because I want to see the excitement that he can bring. I think, you know, smart money might say go the other way because there's so many quarterbacks in that tier that, hey, he could have a good year and still not finish top 7. That being said, I think he will show, just like he did last year, he's going to be dynamic. I'm buying top 7.
Yeah, reminds me so much of Cam Newton in the early days too. I'm going to sell on this. I think it's too high. I think most leagues take away points for interceptions. If that's the case, I think his numbers are going to be 20-something touchdowns, 15, 16-something interceptions. That's going to negate some stuff. Yes, he will run. Can he play an entire season? Still very questionable for me. I have him as the 9th best fantasy quarterback at the end of the season, just outside the top 7. So I'm going to go sell on that.
Our live YouTube chat with people saying, so what NFL players are above the law? I don't think anybody's saying that. I think nobody really knows ultimately what happened. And what I think is the reason I think there's a lot of outcry over this is you're right there at the stadium. This isn't 2:00 in the morning and the guy's drunk. You know, this isn't somebody hitting their girlfriend. This is a guy driving to a game and the cops making a choice to do something that on video doesn't look real good for the cops. Oh, by the way, the Miami Police Department has already said, and I think that's who it was, or the Sheriff's Department, whoever it was, already said they've already suspended one of the cops, and now they're doing a full investigation as to what happened. My favorite part of the entire story is that Tyreek Hill gets out of the cuffs, drives into the parking lot, gets on his uniform, performs, has over 100+ receiving yards, has a spectacular touchdown catch and run, and then does a great touchdown dance where he's got his hands tied behind his back. That was hilarious. So you go, Tyreek.
The problem in this, which is, by the way, celebration of the year right there, and we even got going yet. The problem with this is, as a black man, there's no you can go where the police will not accost you. Doesn't matter how much money you have. Doesn't matter where you work. None of that matters. None of that matters because for whatever reason, policing is a very difficult job. I understand that. No one has ever debated that. But if you want to tell me that all police officers are A+ officers, that's just wrong. Look what they did to Scotty Scheffler. It's not necessarily always about the color. It's about the officer making the arrest. They lie, man. They lie. If you're writing somebody a simple citation for not wearing a seatbelt, does it merit pulling them out and throwing them on the ground? Does it merit that? You can always tell whether or not what they've done is worth the amount of force that they use by what they tell you afterwards. He wasn't arrested for resisting arrest. He wasn't arrested for assaulting an officer.
He wasn't arrested at all.
Right, correct.
He was detained.
He was given 2 citations and detained. So it just tells you where we are in society when it comes to police dealing with individuals, the people who they're supposed to protect. They don't protect them all the same way. That's all this is about, man.
Let's hear what Tyreek had to say after the game because, man, he was on fire during the game, and here's what he had to say after the game.
Obviously, you know, everybody has bad apples in every situation, you know. So, I want to be able to, you know, use this platform, you know, to figure out a way to like flip this and, you know, make it a positive on both ends, on my end and then also Miami-Dade, you know, so that way we can team together and, you know, do something positive for the community because that's what it's all about, bro. Like, you guys are here to like protect us as individuals and You know, I have a platform, and I want to be able to team up with you guys. So that's all I got to say. So,
Tyreek, why do you believe the police put you in handcuffs?
I have no idea, for real. No idea. No idea, man. It's crazy. No idea. It wasn't disrespectful, you know, because my mom didn't raise me that way. Didn't cuss. Didn't do none of that. So, like I said, I'm still trying to figure it out, man.
All right. Well, there's a lot of debate going on in our live YouTube chat right now. There's a lot of people that are like, hey, come on, man. You know, there's no reason to be, you know, detaining a guy like that, putting him face down in cuffs. And there's a lot of other people going, you guys got to get your facts straight. This guy was reckless driving and all
right,
these other
because we all
things.
know the facts already.
I know.
Everybody knows
guys,
the facts, so get your facts straight.
Well, I don't have my facts straight. I'm
Oh, Scott,
acknowledging that.
I think you and Browner and me, we're all wrong because get your facts straight because they're all out there, right?
Look,
Like all the facts are out there. I don't know why us three are being so dumb. The facts are all out there.
I can't wait till the body cam comes out.
It will never be released. That's the thing. Scotty, the arresting officer that got dragged and had his pants ripped the camera footage was never released. So don't hold your breath.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
Because isn't that what it's for? Isn't that what it's for? Can't we all just make up our own mind?
That's supposed to be the entire reason for body cams. When you get a situation like this where the police say, we did one thing because he did this. And the person who they are detaining says, I didn't do any of that. That's what the body cams are for. But somehow magically they're always off.
Well, I want to say this as we go into hour.
By the way, I lost my fantasy because Tyreek still played.
Really? By the way, as far as fantasy, I've never been a fantasy player. And then yesterday, I was obsessed the entire day with how my fantasy team was doing.
Dude, Scott, welcome to 2012. You're talking about like multi-screen, you like on NFL Ticket, fantasy football. Welcome, dude. This is what we all been.
I know. I've been late to the party, no doubt about it. But I'm telling you right now, I was consumed all day yesterday with my fantasy team. All right, hey, this segment of Kaplan and Crew is being brought to us by Life Brew Coffee. I got some right here. Look, if you order Life Brew Coffee, you get 30% savings when you use our code GreatFriends. And then Brett Weiss throws in all kinds of other goodies for you. So no matter where you're in the country, no matter where you're watching, where you're listening, get some of this mushroom coffee from Life Brew. Stick around, everybody. Here comes hour two.
Buy or sell, Anthony Richardson will be a top 7 fantasy quarterback this season. We're keeping this realistic here. We know that nobody would think that he'll be in the top 3, probably not even the top 5. How about top 7, George? Buy or sell?
You know, if he stays healthy, top 5 is not out of question here at all. He's a running quarterback. We know how valuable they can be. My worry is going to be what I mentioned when we talked about the Indianapolis Colts. Boy, man, if Pittman were to go down, there's not a lot to throw. He'll be running for his life half the time there. I like Richardson a lot. Small sample size of what we saw of what he's going to be. I played the 5 games last year before the injury here. So, or a longer season, we'll see if he gets some catch up to him, what he can do. He's going to have to prove he can throw the ball, so be down the field here. I'm going to buy this. All right, I want to buy on Anthony Richardson. I want him to be that guy because I want to see the excitement that he can bring. I think, you know, smart money might say go the other way because there's so many quarterbacks in that tier that, hey, he can have a good year and still not finish top 7. That being said, I think he will show, just like he did last year, he's going to be dynamic. I'm buying top 7.
Yeah, reminds me so much of Cam Newton in the early days too. I'm going to sell on this. I think it's too high. I think most leagues take away points for interceptions. If that's the case, I think his numbers are going to be 20-something touchdowns, 15, 16-something interceptions. That's going to negate some stuff. Yes, he will run. Can he play an entire season? Still very questionable for me. I have him as the 9th best fantasy quarterback at the end of the season, just outside the top 7. So I'm going to go sell on that.